high school literacy leaders. This is DLC Foster Yankee, and I would like to welcome you back to Curriculum Chats. In this video, I'll be discussing the first lesson in the third section of the Friday Night Lights unit. Here are the goals, TEKS, and ELPs for this lesson. Students will use text evidence and original commentary to support an analytic response about gender in the text Friday Night Lights. They will analyze characteristics of Bissinger's thesis, strong supporting evidence, and commentary in the text, as well as Bissinger's purpose, audience, and message within the text. So the text for this lesson is H.G. Bissinger's Friday Night Lights. We have a few tools: the Forming Evidence-Based Claims, Mentor Sentence Journal, and Vocabulary Journal tools, as well as the Questioning Reference Guide and the Friday Night Lights Section 3 question set. For our lesson overview, we will begin our analysis of how gender roles impact high school athletes. We will review how gender has been approached by Bissinger through Chapter 6 in Friday Night Lights. We will read Chapter 7, in which Bissinger discusses the gender roles in Friday Night Lights, and identify textual evidence that supports a statement the author makes in the text. So now we'll take a closer look at the 5 lessons that make up Lesson 1. So in Activity 1, students review the unit's central question for, I think, the third time. And that question is, how do high school athletics reflect American society? Then they respond to the second question. If you were to provide an answer to the central question today, what would it be, in their learning logs? Next, they review the framing questions here, paying special attention to the third one, which is the focusing question for this third section of the unit and connected to the culminating task. So that question is, how do ideas about gender and gender roles impact students' sports culture? So they discuss the third question with a partner or small group, thinking about what they have read in chapters 1 through 6 of Friday Night Lights. To conclude this activity, students share insights gleaned from the discussion with the whole class. This gives the teacher an opportunity to know what students do and do not know or understand, providing an opportunity for them to adjust instruction. Students will return to the central question in each section of the unit to reflect on how their understanding has evolved or become more nuanced as a result of their learning. So the purpose of this activity is to set the context and reveal the big picture for students as they begin their work, making visible how this unit's work prepares them for the culminating task. The framing questions activate students' prior knowledge, which helps the teacher gather information about what they already know or misunderstand about the topic. This process can illuminate students' underlying beliefs about the topic under investigation, expose misunderstandings, and uncover their pre-existing knowledge. For supports, misconceptions, and engagement, the teacher will want to make sure students understand the third question. And also thought for engagement, this will be a good opportunity for students to engage the students in a silent discussion before engaging in that whole class oral discussion. For Activity 2, students read 2 passages from Chapter 6 of Friday Night Lights, paying attention to the gender norms portrayed in the chapter. Then they answer the questions on the screen. How are male and female figures portrayed, and what message about the role of gender is Bissinger trying to convey in this chapter? So after answering the questions on the screen, they write a response to the third question in their learning logs, citing at least 2 pieces of evidence to support their claim. Once they have finished writing, they discuss the question and their response with the group or the class. The purpose of this activity is this quick write will serve as an introduction to the next theme that will be covered in the unit, gender. Asking students to think back through the text about gender activates their prior knowledge. Bissinger spends a large portion of Chapter 7 discussing gender. In Activity 3, students read and annotate Chapter 7 in the text through the break of page 152, paying attention to how Bissinger approaches the idea of gender. Next, the class discusses the following text-dependent questions from the Section 3 question set and writes down key takeaways from the discussion in their learning logs. The purpose of this activity is this is a crucial section of the text for students to understand. The concept of gender roles is a major focus in Chapter 7 of the text. Bissinger explains how the females at Permian are treated by other students, teachers, players, and the community. The chapter also focuses on students and their actual academic experiences at Permian. Bissinger uses examples of how females are treated and the experiences of students to exemplify his perspective of gender roles at Permian and the community. Some suggested supports are to pre-teach vocabulary when there's a couple of suggested words here on the side of the screen to aid in student comprehension. The teacher may also decide to pre-select which questions to discuss based on student needs. So we don't have to discuss every single question. We're going to think about what our class needs and choose which questions to discuss. And in the teaching notes, there is also a list of suggested questions for students who require additional support and or a challenge. In activity 4, students read the quote on the screen, then use the forming evidence-based claims tool to form a claim in response to the question. Here, think about this quote and the text you read in chapter 7. What conclusion would you draw about Bissinger's perspective on gender at Permian? So they draw on multiple pieces of evidence to support their claim. Some suggested supports would be to scaffold or provide support by allowing students to complete this assignment in small groups or with partners. The teacher should monitor understanding of the task and comprehension of the text by observing the completion of this task and by asking specific questions while students are working on the activity. In activity 4, which is listed as a homework activity, students read and annotate the remainder of chapter 7, paying attention to how Bissinger's perspective on gender roles is further developed. Additionally, they write down new or interesting words in their vocabulary journal and sentences that stand out to them as interesting or that represent a strong example of a particular concept they have learned in their mentor sentence journals. That brings us to our cub for lesson 1. We have students will know how Bissinger portrays males and females in chapter 7. They will understand how Bissinger approaches the concept of gender roles in high school athletics, and they will be able to support an analytic response about gender in Friday Night Lights that includes text evidence and original commentary using the forming evidence-based claims tool. Great, so that's a wrap for this video. I welcome your feedback and look forward to hearing from you either on Twitter, via email, or in the comments. While you're here, don't forget to subscribe so you never have to worry about missing a video. Thanks for watching.